So, greetings from the Eccentric Man, and tonight it's Battle Report with my British 8th Army. First game out with them, so we'll see how they fare. If you've seen the other videos, you'll know that these are based on the Battle of Keren and the East Africa Army in 1941, February. What I've got is the 5th Indian Infantry Division, and that's made up of the Commonwealth Army of the Indians and the Gazelle Force, which is the Matilda, and a Bren carrier. But anyway, let's have a look what we got here. So I've got a second lieutenant with his Batman. I've got a free artillery observer. I've got on the right 2 units of Sikh infantry. So there's 8 men with a light machine gun. To their left, at the front, I've got 8 regular infantry, and they've just got rifles and an LMG, and behind them is my free 10-man Muslim Indian unit. So you can have a regular 10-man unit, but you pay for the LMG 20 points. To their left is a 5-man Royal Engineer unit. It's a new unit in the Western Desert book, and they've got a flamethrower. Behind them, a medium mortar with spotter, and then 2 25-pounders with spotters. In the Western Desert book, if you take one artillery piece 25-pounder, you can take another. It's not free, you have to pay for it, but you can have 2. So back rank, I've got a truck, and I've got another Bren carrier, and then the armoured car slot is the Bren carrier with a LMG and a anti-tank rifle and a Matilda 2. You can take 3 different types of Indian army. You can take the one from the generic army book, so perhaps 4. You can have a generic army. You can have one out of the British army book. You can have one out of the Duel in the Sun, and you can have one out of the Western Desert. And 3 of them are, they're different, apart from the one out of the army book and the generic. The army book and the generic have the basic British, so that's your additional dice for preparatory bombardment, and the extra die and the one of the national rules, up and at 'em, rapid fire, that sort of thing, and also the free artillery observer. If you go for the Duel in the Sun and you take the Indians, you drop those, and you get the free 10-man unit and the re-roll failed morale tests. If you go for Western Desert, you get re-roll failed morale tests, you get the extra unit, 10-man, and you get the free artillery observer, and you get the extra dice for the preparatory bombardment. Phew. This evening, what I'm taking is the Western Desert. It just means that I have to have just bog standard infantry for most of it, and then the Royal Engineer unit. So that's what I'm going to go for tonight, and let's see how it works. It's 1,000 points and 1 rifle platoon.
I'm trying something a bit historical. This is why most of it isn't painted. Unfortunately, I decide these things and then suddenly realise, oh my goodness, I've got to paint them. Well, what I'm dealing with, it's a specific time period. It's about the 6th or 7th of June 1940. It was when the Shah D1s down here, which were virtually deemed obsolete by about 1937, they shipped them out to Tunisia to help against the threat against the Italians over there. But then, of course, Hitler came through into France and they were recalled. So they hastily got together. I think there's about 46 Shah D1s that were actually serviceable. Pushed it into Division the 67E and shipped them back to do a rearguard defence in the, I can't pronounce French, Sourain, S-O-U-A-I-N, pocket, which was where the 5th Infantry Senegalese Division was tracked by the Germans coming through. So they were doing a rearguard to try and allow that division to actually escape. So that's why I've got a mixture. On these, I have the first 3 at the front there are the Shah D1s with their small turret, light anti-tank, and 2 medium machine guns on them. They are slow and they've got the small turret, so we have a leadership problem. potentially. Behind that we've got an FT-17 with a low-powered anti-tank gun, and they are pitifully slow, which is really fun. And they have to roll again like the Shardy ones for advance leadership test. Behind that I get a free medium artillery piece, which is really nice. And then I've got 2 units of Senegalese, which are tough fighters. There's 9 in one and 8 in the other. At the front, the armoured car, which is fully enclosed, was a Burley armoured car which could only carry 7. So I've got 7 veteran infantry in there, 3 of which have submachine guns. Then a unit of cavalry, veteran cavalry. Always, we're talking 1940s, so there were a lot of veteran cavalry at the time. And then I've got a second lieutenant with 2 Senegalese guys with them, with submachine guns, obviously attached to the 5th Senegalese infantry. So that's it. So it's a armoured platoon and a reinforced infantry platoon.
Interesting. So tonight's table, we're running on this one. Little village with the countryside to the right. We rolled up and we're going to do sectors. The sort of game we're practicing on is for the Warlord GT in November. We're still not sure what the pack is going to be. We're hoping that that's going to come out very shortly. So at the moment we're just going for 1,000 points and a mixture of being able to take either 2 rifle platoons or a tank platoon and a rifle platoon or 2 tank platoons. So fairly wide open. I think it's the Gary and Colin Betts who are running it. So if it's much kin to what they run, then that will be what it is. It might up to 1250 points. So we'd have to add in a few more bits. But that's what we're running on tonight, and it's going to be sectors, and we're going to go ahead and set the game up. So with sectors, you set up in the opposite diagonals to one another. So you're setting up in a 2 by 2 square on either corner. The other areas are neutral. So there's 1 home base for each side, and the other 2 quarters are neutral. Scoring, you get 3 points for 1 unit into your opponent's starting quarter, and 1 point for each of the neutral sectors, and 1 point for each of the opponent's units wiped out. So you total them all up at the end, and that's the winner. So we just done the preliminary bombardment for both sides, and no pins. 1 pin for the tank, 1 pin for the Senegalese there, 1 pin for the for the command unit. No pins for the Senegalese unit there, which he was quite lucky. We got a hit on the French tank here, which immobilised it and put it 3 pins. We got possibly 1 or 2 pins for the guy. No, 2 pins for the guy in the house.
Yep.
But seeing as a spotter doesn't really mean too much. Roaming all over the place. 2 pins to the mortar spotter. 1 pin to the officer. No pins to one of the 25 pounders. 1 pin to the Muslim infantry. 2 pins to the Sikhs. Fortunately 1 pin to the Matilda. 2 pins to the 25 pounder. Hit the mortar, 3 pins and 1 man dead. No pins for this 25 pounder. However, the spotter did get a direct hit on top of his head and killed him. The recce carrier, which is the armoured car in this list, 2 pins. 1 pin for the Sikhs over here, and 2 pins for the free artillery observer. So that was
interesting.
Yeah, honours even really, I suppose, to a degree. But immobilising the tank was quite useful. That gives me a little bit of a help with that one. So let's go into turn 1. So into turn 1, and we've been trying to move around, get a little bit of position. So managed to get the leadership and pass on the tank and on the infantry units here. They passed the leadership test, losing 1 pin, and they've advanced up. However, Colin did bring out his Senegalese, and they have taken a shot, put one pin, and killed one off of the Muslim infantry at the front. Tank there is immobilised, so it's a little bit stuck. I did try a punt with my 25-pounder at the Senegalese here, but I needed a 6 and they didn't get it, and then they've moved out of the way. The little French tank has moved up behind the house. I've put my WW2 on ambush over here, so we're hoping that that's okay. Collins' medium howitzer has taken a shot, and that has targeted this unit here because his observer is in the building there. So I've cooled down my artillery from my artillery observer and put it in the middle there, hoping that I might get the tank, might get the Senegalese, and I might get that spotter for his medium artillery. And if that's the case, then that's quite useful. Got some infantry moving up on here, and this artillery piece is now a bit stuck because it's in the wood, but at least it's facing up that avenue. I've put it on ambush, so just in case. Mortar rallied, and we're hoping to get some shots in there next turn. So yeah, moving into turn 2. So the artillery strike did come down. It only put one pin on the Senegalese. It put
3 on the spotter.
3 pins on the spotter, and it put 6 pins on the tank. And because I hit it, but only glanced it, and I got a 2, which was
what? Yeah, we went down to a 1. Didn't
went down to a 1. So it was
not a 4.
Stunned and shaken. So yeah, I'll get another pin for that.
You can't get D6 and that, sure.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it gives you an extra pin.
10, isn't it?
End of turn 2. We do take a long time on these. So what have we got? French cavalry have come on because the Senegalese went down. They've had their leadership test. They went down, and I've tried to hit them with other things, so they've got some ranged in on them, so that it's a 5+ from a mortar to hit them. The Sikh unit came up. The LMG put a few shots on them, so depending on which dice comes up first, they could be dead over there. The armoured troop carrier came on, dropped out its unit of vets with 7 machine guns, and despite all those submachine guns, there's 7 men in the unit.
7 men in the unit.
7 men in the unit, and I think there was about 4 submachine guns.
Yeah.
They killed one and put a pin on, but the little tanky there put some machine guns into them, killed another one, and put another pin on. So we got 3 pins on them in there, which is a bit harsh. Sadly, down here, this unit I had to put down for some reason.
I can't remember now. I shot them with the...
Yeah, that was the Senegalese that came through.
Yeah.
Took a shot of them, so I put them down. My 25-pounder failed to shoot, went down. Collins' FT came on at the back with its light anti-tank guns, so I wrecked the Bren carrier out the way, the armoured car Bren carrier out of the way. Over here, I've had my Matilda on ambush, advanced up my recce carrier, dropped out the engineers, took a few shots at the Senegalese, killed 2 of them, which enticed Collins' little tank out. He had to take the risk, and my ambush was triggered. Needed a 3, rolled a 2, and then Colin opened up with his machine guns on them, killing 3. I've passed my leadership test for the morale test, but they've got 1 pin, and they're not very happy. But they've still got a flamethrower because they're the Royal Engineer team. So we're going to move into turn 3, and there is some key dice that need to come out. Always decisions on which one. So Collins' dice could be a good one because he could get his cavalry charge into the Sikhs or into the Muslim infantry, or the little tank over here to finish off the engineers. Or I could get my first dice out and take a shot at his tank, or I could get my first dice out, take a shot at his cavalry, or I could get a first dice out and try flame throwing the tank. So there are lots of options on this one. Well, Colin's French cavalry charged the Indian Sikhs, and you can see there's no cavalry there. I killed 2 on the way in, and then Colin killed 3 of my men, and then I rolled my dice and killed 4, which was absolutely astounding, really. So no French cavalry. Unbelievable. The very lucky rolling there. Into turn 3, and the British are finding it tough going. I've reduced that infantry squad down to 3, so there's not very many of them left now. The officer team's lost one man, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah,
and then he took a leadership test and passed, so the Batman's gone. The Matilda missed the French tank again, but the French tank has moved up, took a shot at the Matilda and put a pin on it, and it was a tank that got rid of one of the officer team. This moved forward to take a shot at the Singhalese. I got 6 hits and killed 1, so it was really poor. And unfortunately, my truck, which I was going to bring on with my other infantry unit to rescue my Bren carrier, failed to come on. So that Bren carrier is disappearing because it's too close to the enemy. That's another dice out for Colin. What else have we got?
What else did we do? They died in the woods.
Over here, my unit died in the woods to another submachine gun volley, so they were dead. Colin's moved up his armoured personnel carrier. I didn't wreck it. I went backwards with my Bren carrier and took a shot and missed. Yeah, that's about it. The artillery
had a shot at him.
Had a shot.
Missed
and missed again. The mortar missed as well, didn't it?
It did.
It did. I needed a 5. It's now 4, isn't it?
It was, but we moved.
But they've moved. So yeah, Colin stayed up and took the risk, and it paid off for him. And he lost. Well, he didn't lose any man.
No.
He just moved them forward, and I was able to shoot 1 or 2, I think.
I think you killed 1, actually.
Killed 1. I took the same risk with my Muslim infantry, but he needed a 4 and got it, and then wiped them out. So that was a bit of a shame, that one.
Bit of a blow, that one.
Bit of a blow. So it's not looking good. I've lost 4 dice to his 1, and seeing we're playing sectors, I'm not in a very good position at all. So let's move into the next turn. End of the turn, and it's getting progressively worse. I had to go down with the officer to save his skin. The Matilda took a hit from the tank, but got 1 pin, so I got rid of that and took a shot at there. I did move it up by 6 inches and took a shot, needing a 4, and rolled a 2. So even if I'd stayed where I was, I would have missed as well. So I have failed to hit with that tank 3 turns now, I think. So not doing good. My reserve of my truck and infantry unit have failed their test to come on 3 times as well. So that's not been good. So really paying a penalty of having them as a regular unit. So that has taken the risk. This unit went down when I shot at it with the 3 remaining Sikhs, so at least pinning them down. Over on this side, the tank failed its leadership test for its 1-man turret and reversed back. This one here has moved up a little bit to take some shots, and with the FT and the armoured personnel carrier, it took out my 25-pounder. So that was a bit of a shame. These ones who had killed off my other unit of Sikhs has advanced up to the house. My observer is on the ground floor at the moment, so he's going to probably run out this time. This is on ambush, threatening to do something. Don't know what, because nothing's going to come down there now. It did cause Colin not to commit on that side, but not sure it was much help to me. The Bren carrier took a shot at the armoured personnel carrier and missed, and it did fire the LMGs at that French squad before they moved, put a pin on them, but Colin passed the leadership test because they're veteran, and they didn't really have any effect on them. Mortar fired, and it needs a 4, or is it a 5?
5 now.
A 5 next turn to hit the Senegalese squad that went down. So yeah, not looking particularly good for the British. So into the next turn. Well, the duel of the tanks continues. I moved up the Matilda, took a shot, missed, and Collins rolled up the
Char D1.
Char D1, needing a 3, missed. So it's really horrendous. Had to put the officer down because Colin moved up his troops here, but I've had a cheeky little 6 on a mortar shot and took out his officer squad. So that was a bonus. We're whittling down the Senegalese here, but he's whistling down the Sikhs there. Over here, Collins rolled some 10s, and his tanks have returned to where they're coming from, but they're still scoring a point each. This unit here failed its leadership test and went down, but he's moved up the little armoured personnel carrier and put a pin on my brain carrier, which also failed to hit the armoured personnel carrier, but did put the pin on the Senegalese, which caused them to fail their leadership test, which was a bonus. And my free artillery observer has run out of the house and legged it up the other side of the board. So yeah, a little bit of success for me in that turn, but we're going to have to see how it continues. I'm not sure I've got enough units. Oh, and of course, I'll just make you a bit dizzy as we go round. You might like the helmet there.
Yeah, bring that on. Thought I got a better chance.
Yep, the truck and the infantry have failed to come on for the 4th time in the game. So, all good stuff. I play a lot quicker at the games. So, turn 5 ended, and the tanks have still failed to hit each other and damage anyone. Truck I brought on, this finally came on, and I moved it on, and it got blown up because it got shot by this tank. But it was probably the only place I'd get it. These guys jumped out and went down, lost 2 of them, but they are down and fairly safe. Run the officer up against the wall, he's pretty safe-ish. Managed to kill one of the Senegalese, put another pin on them, so they're not doing too much at the moment. These tanks have moved. They were able to pass the leadership test and come a bit forward, but they weren't able to do any damage to the Matilda. My little man is still saying safe over there and scoring 1 point. The recce carrier tried to do some shots, they went down. Put another pin on them. They're not going to go very far, I don't think. And I missed the rear of the personnel carrier. Mortar team's gone. That was shot at by the Shardy one. And that's about it at the moment. Oh, I did have that lucky 6 and killed the officers, which was a bonus. But I don't know if that was turn previous.
I think it might be.
Getting a bit tired now.
Yeah.
And the Senegalese dived in the house, and Colin put the artillery piece on ambush. That's why really I brought the truck over this side. Probably was a better move to move them onto the other side actually. But there we go. Those are the decisions that we make. So into turn 6. So into turn 6, and there's been a little bit of fighting over here. The Senegalese came out and duffed up the British that were outside the house, and then consolidated forward over the wall. So trying to get into a scoring position. Officers legging it round as fast as he can. Matilda got taken out by the French Chardy. Very sad. I missed. Colin didn't. So that was the end of the Matilda. 2 scoring units I think here in my zone. I wrecked it away with my carrier because the FT was going to shoot it. So I've ran off over there. Just got these traps running up this bit. And still got my 25 pounder standing. Still an ambush. that he's going to do much now because he's stuck there. So turn 6, and we're going to see whether it's to turn 7. You want to roll a dice, Cully?
Yep.
And then see what happens.
2.
No, 2. It ends.
It ends.
So we'll tally up the points and see what we've got. Well, we've added up the points, and as you can see that there's 10 of my dice gone to Colin only losing 3, and he's got 2 in the scoring zone. I've only got 1 in the scoring zone. So we've totaled it all up, and Colin has got 22 points, and I have got 9. So I got a good thrashing there. Well deserved. Anyway, good win there, Colin. Wow, that was a horrendous kicking from Colin on that game. Some of the things, yeah, I had some abysmal dice rolling to try and hit with Matilda. Ample opportunity to put a round into the Char D one, but didn't get it. So that was a real pain. I've paid the penalty of taking vehicles which I know I want to use for either outflank or reserve. Paid the penalty for taking them as regular. I always take them as veteran, but I wanted to be a little bit greedy in this game with the units that I took, and I could only afford to make them regular, and then paid the penalty. Failed to come on, failed the leadership test on a couple of 9s, and would have come in if they were veterans. So, yep, back to the drawing board to use some of the lessons that we've learned in the past to do it again. So, I've got another game coming up on Monday night against Andy at the Lost Ark Games Landseers Stevenage Club. So we'll have another go with that, and we'll try the Karen army with the Gurkhas and the Commandos. We'll see if we can give Andy a run for his money. It will probably go towards the league results as well. So that's going to come up on Monday, and I hope to get that one filmed. Depends on what the numbers are like at the store and how noisy it is. But anyway, that's the game. Got to get some more practicing. Got to read the rulebook again. We've got a bit rusty, not playing a game in the last month. So thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Share if you would. Subscribe if you haven't already, because once we get 1,000 subscribers, I think there'll be a nice giveaway. So keep on subscribing, and wait out for the next video. So until then, thanks very much for watching, and see you soon.